Hi kids, bit of a breaking news one. Monday, 19th of January, which is today, it's been revealed in Deadline and now on Radio Times that one of my favorite sci-fi shows is due for a reboot. That's Blake 7, obviously. Now, the reason I'm not super excited and being a bit cautious about this is talk about a Blake 7 reboot, reimagining, remake, or whatever has been going on for decades. I know people who've worked on it, worked on a reboot, only for their work to go nowhere, right? So, if you've been living under a rock or you're quite young, Blake 7 is, as one of the stars, Paul Darrow, once described it, it's basically Firefly. It's a Robin Hood kind of story. It was a bit more grown up than Doctor Who, but it did have its moments of aliens and slight silliness. But only slight silliness. It's basically a very long story told over 4 seasons about a character called Blake, hence the name, who is framed for being a political activist, etc. And he manages to escape, and he gathers a group of 6 people, or 5 individuals on a computer, to form his 7, and they do their best to fight against the evil Terran Federation, led in most cases by the sultry yet terrifying Servalan, played by the late great Jacqueline Pearce. Now, like I say, there's been talk about Blake 7 being rebooted quite a bit in the past, but as this is a new announcement, I'm going to the Radio Times article, which has been published today, to explain what the news is. So, director from Doctor Who and The Last of Us, his name is Peter Hoare, make no jokes there, has opened a genre-based production company called Multitude Productions and has acquired the IP for the iconic 70s and 80s sci-fi hit, along with executive producer Matthew Booch and producer Jason Haigh-Ellery. If you know that Doctor Who, you'll know that Jason Haigh-Ellery is managing director and founder of Big Finish Audio, who do all the Doctor Who audio stuff. They say that they would love it to go to the BBC, so obviously the BBC aren't making it. It's a production company. It's, by looks of it, has the rights, and hoping it will go to the BBC, where the show originally aired from 1978 to 1981. Right, Peter Hoare told Deadline, the Blake 7 story is legendary because they were given a softly slot. For those of you who don't know, Softly was the name of a BBC police sort of drama, which was quite popular. That was intended for police drama with a budget intended for one big set and a few location shoots, which is right. The Blake 7 had mainly one big set, which was the flight deck of the spaceship Liberator, and there was a lot of outdoor shooting. At the time, it felt like it meant something. Those shows got into my veins. I could tell they didn't have money, but I was able to compartmentalize and enjoy the ride knowing that the sets wobbled. This is the thing. Everyone says Doctor Who sets wobbled, but I can't remember a wobbly set on Doctor Who. However, Blake 7 did have a couple of wobbly sets. I've always said Blake 7 was made with a spare change that they had at the end of each season of Doctor Who that they found behind the couch. Blake 7 was very low budget, but it was created by Terry Nation, who was the Welsh writer, wrote a lot of comedy, but he also created the Daleks for Doctor Who, and he wrote pretty much all of Blake 7. He created it especially, and the scripts were really good. Like I said, there wasn't exactly slapstick in there, but there was lots of sly humor and bitchiness and people slagging each other off.
Blake, in the unlikely event that we survive this...
Yes?
I'm finished. Staying with you requires a degree of stupidity of which I no longer feel capable.
No, you're just being modest.
Obviously, the best character in Blake 7 is not Blake, who dropped out after 2 seasons. It's Avon, played by the late, great Paul Darrow. I say late, great because there are not many of the cast left. The last time we saw I guess one of the main cast members was Michael Keating, who played Villa in Blake 7, who was a thief and a locksmith, and he appeared in EastEnders a number of times as a vicar. Sadly, Michael Keaton's health is not great at present. I hope he's, able to do some events, but people tell me don't get your hopes up. Anyway, I did meet Paul Darrow once, see the picture, when he made an appearance in Manchester for a Doctor Who based play. That was a tremendous time, and he's actually... no, I met him twice. I met him a second time in Cardiff at a Comic-Con. I'm not sure if he recognised me. I stopped to talk, but I was dressed as Jack Sparrow, so I'm not even sure if he did know it was the same person. Anyway, let us carry on. Matthew Bouch added, we're driven by our passions, but also seeing that there's a gap in the market in the UK, particularly with the well-publicised dropping off of Doctor Who for genre-based British IP. Well, there isn't. There is almost, apart from Doctor Who, is there any other British sci-fi? No, there should be loads. Multitude is also working on TV adaptations of Luke Reinhardt's The Search for the Dice Man, Patrick Carman's Skeleton Creek, and an adaptation of a currently unnamed, well-known video game and a sci-fi series. What could that be? I'm not a gamer. I wouldn't know. You give me your suggestions. It's not Halo. Although that didn't go down too well. I didn't mind Halo. Right, created by Doctor Who legend Terry Nation, who invented the Daleks, Blake 7 quickly became a hit. In 1978, producer David Maloney told Radio Times, we've got something Star Wars doesn't have. We've got time to develop our plot, characters and action. They've got 2 hours while we've got 12. Of course, that's completely changed with the rise of streaming, with Peter Hoare now directly comparing Blake 7 to beloved Star Wars spin-off Andor, arguing that it succeeded not because of its budget, but because of the integrity, wit, and sophistication. I think Andor is a good comparison. It's not so much about aliens and lightsabers, and space battles, although there is a little bit of that in Andor, but it is about political intrigue and backstabbing and fighting against a very big empire, or in this case, federation. Can Blake 7 do well? It might do. I know what's going to happen, and this happens with every single reboot or reimagining. It's going to divide fans. There's going to be the older people like me, who, for the majority, will say they hate it because it's not the same. But if you look back at Blake 7, it is a 1970s show with questionable clothing and hairstyles and stuff. And a lot of the cast are no longer with us. It's got to be updated. I hope they keep the essence of what it is without going too far down the road of, we'll just swap every character's race, ethnicity, bedroom preferences and stuff just for the sake of it. I mean, it worked as it was. I don't mind that they swap a few white faces for not white faces, but let's not go overboard. Let's try and keep to the formula which makes it Blake 7. The one reboot I can think of that is kind of almost entirely well loved is Battlestar Galactica, the 2000s reboot with Katie Sackhoff playing Starbuck, who used to be played by a man, was screamed at the start when they announced it, but everyone realized how good it was. I can't think of many other remakes that people liked or didn't like, but there was a Lost in Space remake a few years ago with Parker Posey playing Dr. Smith, so that was a kind of a gender swap there. But that was good. I liked it. I haven't heard a lot of people saying they liked it, and there's been no news of any sort of follow-up to it. It was a one-off, but it was okay, I thought. There's always been talk of a Hitchhikers remake after the slightly poor, I'm sorry, but I'm in the category of I didn't really like the Martin Freeman movie. Just goes to show that having a budget doesn't actually make things better. You've just got to approach it right. There was talk of Hulu doing a Hitchhikers TV series, and it never happened. But with reboots and remakes, I am generally in favor of them because they don't spoil the original. That's what everyone says. Oh, you'll ruin the original. You won't. The original's always there. Just don't watch the new thing. And you might, like in the case of Battlestar Galactica, you might just love it. So there we go, Blake Seven, one of my favourite, from the same team that brought you Doctor Who back in the BBC days. Blake Seven may be coming back. I hope it does this time. I really hope it does. And if anybody wants to give me a job on Blake Seven, in design or anything like that, please, that'd be great. Like that's going to happen. Anyway, what do you think? If you've heard of Blake Seven, if you haven't heard of Blake Seven, if you like the idea or you don't like the idea, let me know in the comments. And as usual, try not to start arguments and tell people they're wrong and you are right, because we've all got different opinions. Unless, of course, you are the late Terry Nation, Jason Hay-Gallery, Matthew Bouch or Peter Hall, then you, at the moment, anything you say is an opinion. So let's be nice, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video, being Tuesday, right? Right. See you later.